To be spiritually minded is life. Are you all hearing the word of the Lord? To be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life. It is the will of God that our thoughts would project spiritual things. One of the songs that I love is by Donald Lawrence. It says, let's be spiritual. It's time that we would stop being so carnal and that we would switch our thinking to spiritual thinking. That we would switch our thoughts not to thoughts of psychology, but thoughts of spirituality. It is the will of God for our thinking to be switched out. Lay your hands on your mind and say, God, switch out my thoughts. Come on, somebody say it. Say, God, switch out my thoughts. Some of your thoughts aren't right. And the reason you keep on ending up in the same situation is because of your thoughts that you have. And God spoke to me, and I preach this. I'm going to preach it and keep on preaching it. We are living in a time of post-Christendom. We are living in a time of post-spirituality, and everybody wants to talk about psychology. Everybody wants to talk about let's be practical, and nobody wants to be spiritual anymore. But the devil is a lie. Spirituality is still the way to God, and psychology is just something that treats problems, but it does not cure the problem. Psychology will suppress thoughts, but will not change thoughts. Glory be to God. Psychology will say this is how you manage it, but it will not teach you how to be delivered from it. I said it last year, I'll say it again. Matter of fact, I said it last year around this time, that God never desires for sin to be managed in our life, but he desires for sin to be delivered from our life. It is the will of God that we will be delivered from every thought that is contradictory to the will of God. And we have psychology now that is raising up our generation. We have psychology that is raising up this generation that we are facing and that we have to preach to. And I got 3 more minutes. I can't even finish everything that I really wanted to finish. Lord's will, maybe God will give it to me that I can finish it on Thursday. But psychology says, some of the scholarly psychologists say, one by the name, and I'm pretty sure Pastor Ross know these folk, B.F. Skinner and Carl Rogers and Sidmore, whatever his name is, each taught their own theories of psychology, Pastor Bowie, and they rejected the existence of God and depended largely upon the wisdom of man. And that's what's wrong with society in a whole now, Sister Toya. They're no longer depending on God, but they're depending on the wisdom of man. But yeah, I heard my Bible say that God took the foolish things of this world to confound them into the wise. Yes. And so God spoke to me. He spoke to me. He says, warn the people that I'm not looking for psychology, but I'm looking for spirituality in this season. I'm not looking for self-realization or self-realized thoughts, but I'm looking for people to produce spiritual thoughts that will then produce spiritual actions. Are y'all hearing me on this day? I got to roll. I got so much more that I would love to get to, but I can't because of time. We were running out of time with 5 more minutes left, but I promise you I'm going to finish this. I promise you, because I need someone to understand that there again, that God desires for our thoughts to change. He desires to expand our minds, to walk in the spiritual mind and not the carnal mind. I'm through because that's as far as I can get, and that's as much as time will allow me to take you. Stand to your feet on this day.